Welcome back to another class on Halacha for women. We are in the sefer called Otzar Dinim by Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef Shlita. For those of you that are still not aware, we started teaching Torah visually, where you are able to also see the words. Chazal tell us, otiyot machkimiyot, the words themselves make a person smart. There's a very great advantage by listening to Torah to also seeing. One of our biggest challenges is that whenever we listen to Torah, not everything can we remember. There's a lot of information. Does it ever happen to you that you're sitting in the lecture and you're listening to the rabbi and he's saying wonderful things, but at the end of the lecture, somehow you forget almost everything? Why is that? Because the way of the Yitzhar is at the time when you're listening, he allows it to go into your mind. But he's by the doors of your heart. He's never going to allow it to enter into your heart. In order for Torah to be able to enter into your heart, you have to review it. You have to go over it. So the Yitzhar says, no problem. Listen, you want to listen to Torah, listen as much as you want. Because I know when you're going to get up, I'm closing the doors to your heart, and no Torah is going to be able to penetrate there. Now, the advantage of this is, by having this in front of you, you can always look back to it. You can see the sources, as we're going to see. When I'm going to quote certain sources, I'm going to actually have to go on it right over here, or the Shulchan Aruch over here. I'll show you guys as we go along. Now, you'll know where everything is, and that way is going to allow you to remember your Torah better, but in return it's going to allow you to actually do the mitzvah that you learn, the halakha that you learn, and that's very important. A lot of us, we learn many halachot. I was one time in a certain shul and the rabbi was speaking non-stop. I asked a person, tell me one halakha that the rabbi taught. Says the rabbi said, halachot, which one you want? I just said, just tell me one. He said, no, it was an amazing shul. I said, just tell me one. He says, I don't remember. I don't know. It was so much said. That is the problem. When you are overloaded with information, at that moment you're understanding. But if you're not writing, if you're not recording, if you're not reviewing what you're learning, there's no way you're going to remember everything that you learn. People are made in a way where they forget things. They forget their learning. That's why we have an obligation to go back and review. Okay, with that being said, we're going to begin. Today we want to discuss whether a woman can say Birkat HaMazon for a man and he will fulfill his obligation. Now, whenever this halacha is going to be speaking about a woman, it can be his daughter, it can be his mother, it can be his wife, it can be another woman. But as long as they are over 12 years of age. Now, the person that this woman is going ahead and trying to fulfill with her obligation, his obligation, the man has to be over 13 years of age. It could be her brother, it could be her father, it could be her grandfather, or it could be any other guy. It could be any person that's over the age of 13. So, one more time, whether a woman can say Birkat HaMazon for a man and he will fulfill his obligation. That's what we want to try to go ahead and see today. Is the halacha going to tell us yes, or is the halacha going to tell us no? Meaning you say, is the halacha going to tell us a woman can fulfill the husband's obligation, or the woman cannot fulfill the husband's obligation? Again, when I say husband, I'm just referring to men. Rabbi Chaim ben Attar asks, Rabbi Chaim, the son of Attar, he asks a question. Is a woman obligated in Birkat HaMazon from the Torah or only by rabbinic law? We did see this in the previous class. Now we have to remember what is Rabbi Chaim ben Attar asking. We saw in the Shulchan Aruch. Now Rabota, I am using the Sefaria. If you go to Sefaria, as you guys can see, it's SEFARA.org. Now over there you have, you have the Shulchan Aruch, you have a lot of good things over there. A lot of the things they actually translated. But if you go to the Sefaria, this is in Simon 186. Oh, there we go, 185. Just 1 second, guys. No. Just let's do this, no problem. Here we go. Now in Simon 186 in Halacha Aleph, this is Halacha Aleph. This all is Halacha Aleph. Rabbi, I'm going to read it with you in Hebrew and then I'm going to read it in English. Now, there is a mitzvah to learn Torah, but women don't really have the same obligation of men to learn Torah. But Rabotai, you should understand, you do say the blessing of Birkat Torah. Correct? You say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Olam Asher Kiddishanu B'mitzvat v'tzvan al divrei Torah. If you're not obligated in words of Torah, so why are you saying a blessing in vain? The answer is you're really not saying a blessing in vain. You're not. So why? Because what you're blessing for is on mitzvot which pertain to you. That's why we made this whole shiur of halacha for women. Now these halachot apply to women. That's why we're learning them. So you have to understand that whenever you're learning halacha over here, there is a mitzvah, that meaning that there's schar and reward that you are getting for learning Torah. So the halacha says, Nashim chayavot bebirkat hamazon. Women are obligated in birkat hamazon. Fine. V'savik hu imhem chayavim midoraita. Now we have a doubt, are the women obligated in reciting birkat hamazon from the Torah? Umotziot et anashim, and they are able to go ahead and fulfill the obligation of men, or im enam chayevot, or maybe women are only obligated from the rabbis. And they can only fulfill obligation of someone who's on a rabbinical level. Now, right off the top in Simon 186 in Halacha 1, we see over here, women are obligated in Birkat HaMazon, but the Shulchan Aruch himself has a doubt. Are women obligated in Birkat HaMazon from the Torah or from the rabbis? What's the difference? Because if a woman is obligated from the Torah, she's able to fulfill a man's obligation. But if a woman is obligated only by rabbinic law, then she could only fulfill someone who's on a rabbinical level. Now, why am I saying this, Rabotai? If we go back over here, Rabbi Chaim ben Attar asked, Rabbi Chaim the son of Attar, he asked, is a woman obligated in Birkat HaMazon from the Torah or only by rabbinic law? Now, Rabotai, I just want to do this with you guys. I want you guys to see it also. I read the Hebrew. Let's do the English with you guys. Okay, here we go. Women are obligated to recite grace after meals. A doubt exists whether they are obligated from the Torah and thus are able to fulfill the obligation of men who listen to their recitation, or if the obligation is merely rabbinical in origin, and thus can only fulfill the obligation for someone whose obligation is likewise merely rabbinical. Okay, I just want you guys to see that in English also. It's very important for me that you guys see the words of Torah. So that is the question. Actually, that's a doubt, Rabotai. So now that we don't know if women are obligated from the Torah or by rabbinic law, we don't know that. So what's the problem? So now he explains, he says, this matters because of a halachic rule. If you are only rabbinically obligated, you can't say a blessing to help someone who is Torah obligated. If you're only rabbinically obligated, if a woman has only the rabbinic law placed on her that she's obligated in saying Birkat HaMazon, fine. She's not able to go ahead now and say that blessing of Birkat HaMazon that she's blessing on to help someone who's obligated on the Torah level. For example, a woman says Birkat HaMazon. A woman says Birkat HaMazon out loud to help a man fulfill his obligation. Will that help or not? Problem? If the woman is only rabbinically obligated and the man is Torah obligated, maybe she can fulfill it for him. Rabbi Chaim ben Attar says, lechatchila, ideally, the best course of action, the woman shouldn't say it for the man, because we're not sure she's Torah obligated, like we saw in the Shulchan Aruch. Just give me 1 second. I don't know how to. 1 second. Okay, very good, guys. 1 second. So basically, if you would have to go on this you see you have Tanakh, Mishnah, Talmud, Midrash, Halacha. We'll go to Halacha, go to the Shulchan Aruch, go to Rav Chaim. Now we have to find Simon 186. Just want to show you something. Okay. Rabotai, what did we just say over here? We said over here, lechatchila, ideally, the woman shouldn't say it for the man because we're not sure if she's Torah obligated. Where did Rabbi Chaim ben Attar get this halacha from? From the Shulchan Aruch. It says right over here. Nashim chayavot beBirkat hamazon. Women are obligated in Birkat hamazon. V'savik, but we have a doubt. V'savik, we have a doubt. Im hen chayavim midoraita. Are they obligated from the Torah? U'mitziut ed hanashim, and they are able to fulfill the obligation of men. Or im einam chayavot ela midrabanan ve'einam mitziut ela lemi she'ein chayav ela midrabanan. Or maybe women are on a rabbinical level and they can only fulfill the obligation of someone who's rabbinical. So basically, this is what Rabbi Chaim Attar ben is saying. This is what Rabbi Chaim ben Attar is saying. Lechatchila, a woman should not fulfill the obligation for men when it comes to Birkat hamazon. Why? Because we're not sure if she's Torah obligated. Because really, maybe she's on a rabbinical level. If she's on a rabbinical level, how can she fulfill someone's obligation that's on a biblical level? However, Rabbi Chaim ben Attar says, B'diavad, after the fact, if she already said it with the intent to help him, he fulfilled his obligation. Now this is very important. Let's give you a scenario. Husband and wife, they're sitting, let's say they don't know this halacha. They don't know this halacha, that the wife shouldn't ideally say it for the husband. So Sarah says to Reuven, let's say Sarah and Reuven. Sarah says to Reuven, can I say Birkat hamazon for you today? I want you to enjoy from my voice. I want to fulfill the obligation. He says, yeah, why not? Now, I want you guys to pay close attention because it's in English, but it's a little bit more in Hebrew. When he says over here, Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, when he says over here, if she's already said it with intent to help him, he fulfills his obligation. What does that mean with intent to help him? Whenever you are fulfilling somebody else's obligation, you have to have intent to take out his obligation for the Birkat hamazon that you're going to do for him now. And the person has to have intent with you that he's fulfilling his obligation with you. So basically what I'm saying is like this. Sarah is telling Reuven, and Reuven is telling Sarah like this. Sarah tells Reuven, I'm fulfilling your obligation, Birkat hamazon. Reuven says, fine. But now Reuven also has to know to tell Sarah, I'm also fulfilling my obligation with you in your Birkat hamazon. Each one has to have their intent towards the other. And only that way you are able to fulfill the obligation. Now the Shulchan Aruch brings out that this is only lechatchila, but if you didn't have kavanah, and you went ahead and you still did it, b'di'evid, we're going to say that it's fine. But lechatchila, Rabotai, we want the husband and the wife, or the woman and the man, to make sure that they both have intent toward one another in fulfill the obligation in Birkat hamazon. So that's what Rabbi Chaim ben Attar says. Lechatchila, ideally, the woman shouldn't say it for the man because we're not sure she's Torah obligated. B'di'avad, but if she did do it, meaning after the fact, if she already said it with intent to help him, he fulfilled his obligation, and we're not going to tell the husband to go ahead back and repeat the Birkat hamazon. Now, Rabotai, now that we know Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, comes comes Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shlita, and that's the same halacha he's going to paskin like Rabbi Chaim ben Attar. And he says, Isha she'ochla kidei l'sivi'ah. If you have a woman who ate to satiation, she's satiated, u'bircha birkat hamazon, and she blessed birkat hamazon, v'nit kavana lo'otzi yidei chova ish gadol, and she had kavanah, she had intent to fulfill the obligation of the men. Again, when he says gadol, meaning one who's above 13 years of age, shachal kidei sivya, where he ate to satiation. V'gam ha'ish nitkaven letzed yedei chovat b'birkat hamazon sha'isha bircha. And also the men had intent to fulfill his obligation in Birkat hamazon that the woman is blessing. B'di'avad yatsa yedei chova. Rav Yitzchak Yosef Shita is going to tell you over here that after the fact, we're going to tell you the husband fulfills obligation with the blessing of his wife for Birkat Hamazon. Now let's see it in English. Even though a woman ideally shouldn't say Birkat Hamazon for a man, if she did and both had intent, again, towards one another, the man fulfills his obligation b'di'evid. Now I want to just show you again one more time in Hebrew. I want to just show you something very important over here. Because he says it over here in Hebrew. Isha sha'achla kidei sivya, a woman who ate to satiation, ubircha birkat hamazon, and she went on to bless birkat hamazon, right? Vinit kavana, and she had kavana, she had intent, lehotzi yedei chovat ish gadol. She had kavana, she had intent to fulfill the obligation of the man who's over 13 years of age. Sha'achal kidei sivya, where he ate to satiation. V'gam ha'ish nitkaven letzed yedei chova beberkat hamazon sha'isha bircha. And so too, the man also had intent to fulfill his obligation in birkat hamazon that the woman was blessing. B'davat yatsa yedei chova. After the fact, we're going to tell you the man fulfills his obligation. So we do see over here two things. Number one, ideally, we do not want woman blessing Birkat Hamazon for men. Number one. Number two, if she went ahead and she did bless, and they both had intent towards one another, she had in her mind that she's fulfilling his obligation. He had in his mind that he's fulfilling his obligation with her. Then we're going to tell you after the fact, if it already happened, we're going to go ahead and we're going to give it to them. We're going to say the husband does not need to go back and repeat Birkat Hamazon. Now, Rabotai, we have to see something very important in the Gemara which you did. If you guys can see over here, it's in highlighted in the blue. Rabotai, the Gemara Masechet Berachot in Daf Chav Bet Amud Bet states, I want to read for you the language, you guys can also see it on the bottom in English. This, by the way, goes credit to the Merkava. It is spelled ThemerCava.com. Also very nice. You know, I just want to show, look, I'll press on anything, it gives you the translation. Now, I don't know if it has it for everything, like all the Rashis and everything, but again, what we have, it's also good, okay? All right, so let me find that place 1 second. Where are we? Where did it go? Here we go. Okay, Rabota. I want to just show you like this. But the sages said, Tavo me'era. I don't know why he's jumping up. Okay. Tavo me'era la'adam she'ishto ubana mevarachin lo. May a curse come on the men whose wife or children have to say the blessing of Birkat Hamazon for him. Okay, Rabotai, why am I saying this? Because our rabbis of blessed memory said, even though Rabotai, because we said over here, let me just read over here before that. Be'emet Amru. I don't know why it's jumping. Okay. Be'emet Amru. In truth, the Chachamim of blessed memory said, Ben mevarech. Let me just do this. Ben mevarech la'aviv. A son is able to bless for his father. Honestly, I don't know why it's jumping. Guys, apologize about that. I don't know why it's jumping. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't highlight it. All right. Okay, Rabota, let's do this. Guys, I'm gonna read it from the blue line. Just follow with me. I'm gonna put it right there. First line, Be'emet Amr, right there. I'm not gonna highlight it because I'm not sure why is it jumping back and forth. Fine. So Be'emet Amr, in truth, they said, the Chachamim, Ben mevarech la'aviv, ve'eved mevarech le'rabo, ve'isha mevarechet le'ba'ala. In truth, Chachamim of blessed memory said, a son, a minor, is able to bless for his father, a slave is able to bless for his master, and a woman is able to bless for her husband. But our rabbis of blessed memory had said, Tavo me'era la'adam she'ishto u'bana mevarachin lo. May a curse chas v'sham lo come on a person where his wife and his children bless for him the Birkat Hamazon. So even though, Rabotai, we saw over here in the Halacha that bid'avad, that after the fact, like Rabbi Chaim ben Attar says, where the Halacha comes from, that bid'avad after the fact, if she already said it with the intent to help him, he fulfilled his obligation. But we have to remember the Gemara Masechet Berachot in Daf Chaf Amud Bet. We have to remember what the Chachamim say. Yes, if a woman went ahead and she blessed, she could technically bless. But you have to remember, by a woman blessing on behalf of her husband, she brings curses on her husband. So therefore, Rabotai, every single husband has to be very careful to make sure that he learns Birkat Hamazon and not rely on his wife or his children. Have a great day. Baruch Adonai L'olam. Amen ve'amen.